Literally having a heart attack over here.
I'm
Hello.
so sorry. Listen, I am a doctor by training.
Oh my God, I hope you've got underwear on, pants on, not just the top. This is one of those Zoom things that if she stands up, we're just going to have the PJs, the panties, exactly. Dr. Heather Hirsch, who is the queen of owning your midlife. And it can't,
Yes.
and also there's nothing more irritating, guys. If you want to get divorced or you want someone to slap you right between the eyes, don't you dare ask every time they get angry.
It totally is. And this is so interesting because I want to go through the symptoms, but mood changes. Why don't we start with that? Because we just talked about it. Estrogen is a little bit like an antidepressant or an SSRI, 12 months of no period.
I mean, that sounds
and then it's menopause.
magical to me. I don't understand why we're all fighting it. I've had my children. I mean, obviously, if I have one with surgery, we have an embryo already reserved, and and my doctors told me that's as good as I'm getting. Welcome back to another episode of Uncut and Uncensored, and today I am joined by Dr. Heather Hirsch, who is the queen of owning your midlife and hot flashes, hard truths. I mean, it's everything, Heather, that I'm probably experiencing as a 49-year-old woman. So I am very excited to have you on my podcast today. Thank you for joining me.
I could not be more excited. I love this topic and all the questions that you have, everyone else has as well.
It's very funny, obviously being a woman, and obviously having a podcast. I've understood, because I speak to doctors and I actually work, oddly, in a roundabout way in the healthcare industry in the Middle East, how little information there is out there for us women. Considering there's over 1 billion women on this planet, none of us, we're all winging midlife. It's insane. And, actually what they say about things like midlife crisis, hot flushes, we are all going to have it. And no one wants to talk about it. So how do we break that stigma?
Great question. And the numbers that you said are so important. There's no escaping midlife and menopause. Like you can't out exercise or eat clean and escape it. It's going to happen to all of us. And so, the first thing really is speaking about it. And over the last couple of years, I think what's helped to make the topic a little bit more accessible is having public figures and celebrities, even politicians, talking about their midlife and menopause journeys. And that really helps to open the door for everyone to start talking about it. Because the change in the discourse has truly and unfortunately not really come from the medical profession per se. If anything, it's more like a grassroots, women sort of hearing from their friends, hearing from a coworker, hearing from a colleague, and saying, we're not going to take this like our moms. We're not going to suffer through this. We deserve so much better. And then the medical community really paying attention as more and more women are demanding better and better answers from their clinicians. So I think it's continuing to talk about it, raising awareness, and then, on the end of the healthcare professionals, it's increasing their training and their knowledge, something I'm so passionate about also.
I mean, what's absolutely nuts to me, it's like, it is a whispered thing. It's slightly like, are you menopausal? I mean, I've just learned now that perimenopause lasts up to 8 years, 8 bloody years. So there's no way that most of us aren't in it. But women still, when I ask my girlfriend, oh, no, I haven't hit it. I'm, it's not till you're 50 or whatever. I mean, it probably is. And I definitely suffer from hot flushes, but it has the same connotation to women as discussing an abortion. That's what I find incredible. Like they would rather discuss anything else. Like, and I understand even with losing babies, abortions, all of these things, sometimes that is also something that you should speak about. Why is it a dirty, unspoken word? Because I'm actually loving now that I understand what it is, because, my husband and I joke about it. I can go from 0 to 1,000 in my, anger levels very, very fucking fast. Now, I can also be exhausted. I can also be happy. I can also be, maybe you're not sleeping so well. Maybe there are so many things that once I got into looking at my hormone levels and peptides and all of these things that are out there, you understand that why is it we need to suffer in silence? Because it's like, is it because women feel like we're admitting our age by saying that we are going through menopause, then we're old. I don't get it. And I actually don't mind growing old, by the way.
I mean, I'm one of the also rare friends in my friend group that every birthday I love getting older. I feel smarter. I feel more comfortable in my skin. I love aging. But there's still an ageist and sexist society that we live in. And this is potentially one of the reasons why it's been so uncomfortable to talk about. But I think with social media, I think we are, as women, you can hashtag women in their 40s, women in their 50s, women in their 60s. We're seeing women living their best lives in this time period. And that means talking about menopause as well. There's so many freeing things about perimenopause and menopause. And we could talk about the differences between them because you're absolutely right. I would imagine most women in their 40s are somewhere in the midst of perimenopause. And there's so many exciting and positive things. Because the other thing that I hear a lot, especially on social media, is menopause is going to be awful and you're going to gain weight and it's so hard to figure out your HRT and it's like getting your balls cut off if you were a guy. Let's change this narrative. This is actually a wonderful thing. And with education and with knowledge and with a little bit of a tool set, we can really make these the best decades of our lives. This is when we're probably the most financially successful. This is when we're both very physically successful. This is when we've kind of started to learn more about what we want and our priorities. Like this should be a wonderful time. And that includes talking about it more.
I mean, it's also like sexual awakenings for women as well. Like, I mean, I know women at my age having the best sex of their fucking life because they're not ashamed. They're not embarrassed. It's like sex. It's exactly like sex. Sex was, is meant to be discussed as something we kind of get through or got through when we're in our 20s and 30s. It's like a chore. It's like, okay, I'll clean the house, have sex with my husband, feed the baby. Now, at this age, I'm 49 years old. I'm literally doing Cirque du Soleil in the bedroom, which is like, I don't think I remember in my younger years, you would be like, turn off the lights. You don't want anyone to see you. Now I couldn't care less if my neighbors see me. So, I think it's such a freeing time if you change the narrative.
I absolutely agree. I mean, for so many women, we're dealing with, periods, heavy periods. We don't know when those periods are come. We're trying not to get pregnant. We're trying to get pregnant. We're breastfeeding. We're trying to get pregnant again. We just had a baby. Like now, what a wonderful time where your body can really be yours again. And, as long as we're making sure that we have some vaginal estrogen, there's no pain down there. We have found the time and the place where we can really best learn, what pleasure is. It doesn't have to be performative for anyone anymore. You're totally, totally right on that.
I mean, how do you feel that we break the stigma? Because I do want to scream, and I live in a very masculine society in the Middle East, obviously. So already I feel like I've done a lot for women over there, just by dating younger, because that happens, but not this way round. Obviously, in the Middle East, it's a very masculine, male-dominated world. So to see a strong woman is fascinating. And there's a lot of powerful women in business, but maybe not this way around in relationships. I do feel that if you get, as you said, women in their 40s really hit their stride. You couldn't pay me to go backwards.
Agree. Yeah. I think there's so many ways that we can bring the conversation to light, of a lot of which you're already doing. I mean, when you have a big platform, if a woman feels comfortable talking about it, it's really helpful because it really creates subcategories of women talking about this as well. Or, one big influencer or one media personality or one businesswoman talking to another. These conversations on a big scale can be really, really powerful. And because now we have social media, we don't have to necessarily go to a big broadcasting network and beg for a show about this, because that still happens and they do not get greenlit. They still say this type of show does not have a market. The other thing that we can think about, and I think this is fascinating, is like sometimes we think this is only women to women, but honestly, I am finding more men are really interested in this conversation. They're thinking to themselves, because men are like, problem solvers. They're like, well, if there's a problem, let's solve it. One time I was on a radio show here in the States and I was interviewed by two men and they said, well, we have hormone therapy. like, what's the problem? And I'm like, well, how much time do you have? Right. But men are really interested in finding solutions. Either it's for their wife or their girlfriend or their partner. Like they're watching these things happen too. And they're thinking to themselves, not selfishly, honestly, not even, oh, I just want to have sex. Why does it hurt? I want to fix that. Although that's fine. If that helps to bring them into the conversation, that's fantastic. But, a lot of the times they're kind of also searching for a midlife and menopause expert, or they have big platforms where they can talk about it between other men as well, or maybe they're in administrative positions in hospitals and clinics, and we can start bringing it to them. So there's so much I actually think that we can do, and
Well,
leaving out men, I actually think is a mistake.
I actually feel that men should be in it because they're in relationships, right? If
Yes.
your wife suddenly changes, which she will, everyone listening out there, this isn't, again, this isn't a choice. This is not her being difficult or her just losing her love for you or feeling different. These are physical changes within your body that you are out of control of. Fact. So the fact the man doesn't understand or doesn't know what's going on or isn't filled in, or the wife hasn't told him because she's embarrassed because she doesn't want to age. It's like showing that, they're no longer, I get this thing about no longer being able to reproduce. You're no longer a woman. I mean, that is crazy to me. We're already doing so many different things that to feel ashamed of the natural growth of our bodies is like, I mean, my husband's 20 years younger than me. I mean, he's going on that journey with me, and he's
Yeah.
absolutely in the doctor's office. I mean, I'm going
Yes.
straight from here to have a testosterone pellet in my bum, I hope. And that's been one of the best things for us, for our relationship, for my energy, for our sex, everything. And I would
Mhm.
say to women, don't walk, run and find out if you're in this age gap. I
Yeah.
mean, where do you feel, or what are the symptoms to look for, when women start going through this? Because they can be
Yes.
mild, and it can't, and
Yes.
also there's nothing more irritating, guys. If you want to get divorced or you want someone to slap you right between the eyes, don't you dare ask every time they get angry whether they're going through menopause. Like, I
Right.
mean, that's the surefire way to lose a testicle.
It totally is. And this is so interesting because I want to go through the symptoms, but mood changes. Why don't we start with that? Because we just talked about it. Estrogen is a little bit like an antidepressant or an SSRI. If you've ever heard of medications called antidepressants like Zoloft or, citalopram or Celexa or Prozac, these keep serotonin in your brain, the happy hormone. And guess what? Estrogen does the same thing. It keeps serotonin in your brain. And so, as the estrogen is declining and it becomes more volatile, this is one of those reasons that women can have this really short fuse, like go from 0 to 100, just like you said, or feel low mood at times. And so, the estrogen dropping is going to cause changes in mood. And progesterone dropping can cause more anxiety because progesterone is kind of like our calming hormone. And as that is also steadily declining, women may find that they're more anxious or they're ruminating a lot more than they used to. Oh, they'll say, look, I used to be a little sad, or I used to have a little anxiety, and I really could cope with it. But all of a sudden, again, it's back with a vengeance. This can be a really big sign of perimenopause, which is basically when you're having symptoms, but you're still having periods. Menopause is when it's been 1 year of no bleeding, no periods. That is menopause and
Oh, that
postmenopause.
I did not know that. And also,
Mhm.
so when you do these hormones, because I'm doing estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, best
Mhm.
decision ever, ladies.
Mhm.
Um, that actually keeps you in perimenopause longer, right? So it brings you back, so you won't reach. If you want to delay menopause, you can today.
Well, this is an interesting conversation because actually, what we'll see is if you start hormone therapy once you're postmenopausal, it may resume a little bit of ovarian function. So, a lot of women, it's very common. They'll have a little bit of bleeding if they're postmenopausal, and you probably started in perimenopause. So I'll come back to that. But if they're postmenopausal, you can get a little bit of bleeding. You can sometimes actually get a little bit of your ovarian function back. So, it's kind of clinically, we say you're still menopausal, you're on hormone therapy. But again, I believe there's a little bit of regaining some ovarian function. Just depends how long it's been. I have patients that have been in menopause for 1 year, 5 years, 12 years. So it really all depends. Then in perimenopause, which is when you start having these symptoms, so it could be the mood changes or period changes or the hot flashes, the night sweats, the
I get the
dry
hot
skin.
flushes.
So do I. The slimies, and um, if you start hormone therapy in perimenopause, we're not really sure if it's going to delay the onset of menopause. We don't know if it probably won't forever, meaning your ovarian reserve will eventually kind of hit its like stopping point. But how much it re-kickstarts your ovarian function and for how long that may go, we're still kind of finding out. So, we use these terms perimenopause, menopause, hormone therapy, even me all the time to kind of be very broad. But when we're getting really nitty gritty, there's menopause, which is when it's been 12 years of no period, 12 years, 12 months of no
I
period.
mean, that
And then it's
sounds
menopause.
magical to me. I don't understand why we're all fighting it. I've had my children. I mean, obviously, if I have one with surgery, we have a egg, an embryo already reserved, and this,
Yeah.
and my doctors told me that's as good as I'm getting. So to not
Mhm.
have my period of this side, I don't understand why women are mourning it. I mean, make it make sense to me. Like the period is so annoying to me that I actually will rule the day where I don't have to worry about my period. Fantastic. Why don't, why are women so upset by it? Why do women get so annoyed when they, or so afraid of not having a period? Like, what is the thing, the stigma to that? Sounds
I don't know.
fabulous.
I know. And I haven't had a period in over a decade
Oh
now
my God,
myself. I
congratulations.
know. Well, I have an intrauterine device. So I'm an open book. So I have an IUD because I also, I don't want to bleed, but it is really interesting because again, I spend all my days talking with patients and some women really enjoy menstruating. It may be to them or what they'll say is it's just a sign that they're
Women
either fertile or they're
enjoy
young. Yes,
menstruate. I've never heard this.
I know.
Never. I'd like to meet that woman.
Some women, of course, would say, "Please, please, I'll do anything to stop these periods." And so it's always, it's interesting to hear. It's probably a lot about how we're brought up, what we believe socially, what we believe culturally, a background in medical experiences. Because some women, are afraid to not have a period. It could be things that a doctor told you when you were younger. We don't. It's fascinating to learn biopsychosocial where these different opinions come from. But yes, not having a period could be so freeing, either because of menopause or we're using contraception in that way. You don't have to bleed. You won't lose your iron. You won't get fatigued. You won't get the drop in the estrogen. You won't get, hopefully the headaches. There's a lot of benefits. And then, of course, having sex and not worrying about an unintended pregnancy is so darn freeing, right? You can
Freeing.
Cirque du Soleil all you want because you can take that right off the table.
I mean, I do think, and how do I? There's just so little information out there, and some doctors are so still in the dark ages. It wasn't till I found, a very LA-ified hormone doctor that I learnt that all of these symptoms and things like this weren't necessary. That you can still have energy. You don't have to have that midlife spread that we all got. And by the way, when I turned 40 something, it is true. I got literally, I think I put on 12 or 18 pounds. I looked like I ate my husband. And it
Yeah.
wasn't till I looked back and saw the pictures, I was like, oh my God, I got the midlife spread. So I do feel those things are very real, because your metabolism changes, obviously. But how do you find a
Yeah.
doctor that's actually menopause literate? Because so many doctors still live or don't go into it, still live in the dark ages of what is possible. So you can go there. And although it's very nice to obviously have more of a softer approach than maybe some of these doctors do here. And I understand that some people don't want to do daily injections or don't want to have the pellet or don't want to have something that interferes so much. But,
Mhm.
from that to doing absolutely nothing, where some of these ones where you have to, they're totally holistic and you pee on a stick, you send it away for 10 days and then it comes back and it's like you're really winging it again, or
Yeah.
just say meditate for an hour and then do this exercise. And that also I don't feel is going to really help you at this stage.
You're describing this like complete confusion of
Yes.
like, where do I go? Who
Because
do
it's
I go
one
to?
or the other. You're either in,
Yes.
some medical thing of like a shit ton of needles every day, or you're doing eat, pray, love on a
Right.
mountain.
Right. And so this really begs the point where it's high time that women really one get the message that hormone therapy is very safe and effective. That's really message number one. And just like we were alluding to, it's not that there is only one way, but I really truly feel most women on the planet are good candidates for hormone therapy. Why? We've been making hormones our whole life. And so, we put a lot of, oh, this is unsafe or this could cause this. A lot of that's been debunked. And women's bodies are really resilient. They take, if you've done, egg retrievals and assisted
All of
reproductive
it.
technology, if you've had a baby or a pregnancy, if you've ever been on birth control pills,
Yes.
you've had a lot more hormones than actually what's even in
Anybody
hormone
thinks.
therapy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if I
And
hear
so,
one more time about testosterone, will I end up with, pecs and a mustache? No, you won't.
right.
No.
And so the second thing is this first message is really hormone therapy is safe and effective. But a lot of that, especially because this is in a way gate kept by clinicians, we need a physician or an MD or a DO or a nurse practitioner. We need a clinician who's going to be able to prescribe it because you can't go get these over the counter. And so then the other thing I'm really passionate about is training clinicians, because the more clinicians that we can train to understand how to appropriately counsel and treat a woman with hormone therapy, and at the same time, bridging those with the fact that there is no medal that women get for suffering through perimenopause and menopause. There's no medal. And in fact, my motto is always treating yourself with hormone therapy when you're having symptoms that are either mild, moderate, or debilitating, but especially moderate and debilitating, is going to keep you healthier for longer. And so those are kind of the mottos here.
Oh
Hormone
my God,
therapy
I
is
wish
safe
my
and
husband
effective.
could hear this right now
Yeah.
because we're on headphones. Having hormone treatment will keep you healthier for longer. And that's the truth. And I think, it's such a misconception, because I was going to go and get my pellet now and he didn't want me to do it. I'm going after this, actually, strays after that to go and have a pellet put in. And I wish he could hear it because we're replacing what the body needs. We're not adding. I'm not doing what bodybuilders do in gyms. And I think that's a very important because some people don't do anything. Obviously, they don't take pills. My husband's one of those people, like taking a headache pill to him is like doing half a line of coke in his head,
Right.
right? He's like, we're all drug addicts.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I'm reaching for that kind of thing, he's like, well, it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. One, your body actually needs, and it's just depleting. Obviously, what a 30-year-old man needs compared to a almost 50-year-old woman, we're two different things. Let's talk to me when you're coming to 50. And I think there's a very uncomfortable conversation with, even I'm normalizing it with my children because they see, obviously when they see needles at breakfast, they're like, oh, mommy, what are you doing? Right. And he panics. He is panicking. So it's giving mixed messages. My children are thinking, literally I'm a science experiment. And I'm like, no, this is incredibly normal. These are just like taking your vitamin D in the morning. It's just a quicker way into the bloodstream. And just as I put magnesium on my feet at night.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. I always say it has to fit someone's lifestyle. So if someone who's traveling and really busy, these can be great ways to put them into your lifestyle. And I really think that, the more we talk to even the next generation, because if our generation is one of the generations that's, starting to talk about hormone therapy again, we're using it more, even though current data says you will not believe this. Maybe you will. About 5% of women in the United States, I don't know about globally, but 5% are on hormone therapy, which is crazy considering upwards of 80% of women are good candidates for hormone therapy. We need to start normalizing, what hormone therapy is. And the way I kind of always say this is we have evolved so quickly. Our ovaries should have made it to about 70, but they kind of start to poo-poo around 40, 45, but really our ovaries should be working till they're about 70. And so hormone therapy can be a safe and effective way to actually, like I said, keep the symptoms at bay and keep you healthier longer, because if hormone therapy is used in a healthy, appropriate, and safe way, this decreases heart disease, helps women live longer, decreases diabetes, stops symptoms, improves sex lives, improves bone health, and
by the way, sorry,
more.
I need to stop you because this is for men too.
Yeah.
I made some of my, older friends' husbands go because I'm like, this isn't just for us. Okay, maybe the estrogen is, but other things, you can do other things, right? And so you feel amazing too. Men should go and check their hormones. We're talking about menopause. Obviously, you're not going through all that. But I mean, by the way, what is a midlife crisis?
Oh, this is such a great question. I can tell you from my own experience. I think it's really interesting for women. I think two things really happen to us in the middle of our lives. Our hormones are changing, and we already talked about how that really can impact your brain. It can impact your short fuse-itis, I call it, where you just go from 0 to 100. And we're really in the middle of our lives. We sometimes want to maybe redefine our lives. We sometimes feel like, when you were a teenager and you had your nuclear family, and teenagers, what they crave a lot is to kind of like go off with their friends and sort of find their own world and kind of leave their nuclear family and really create a personality and stand on their own 2 feet. In midlife, especially with the pressures, we have potentially, had babies or been pregnant, had miscarriages, had more children, breastfed. Now we've gained hopefully or potentially some financial stability. And again, with the hormones changing and being right in the middle of our lives, we're like, maybe I want to redefine what my life looks like now. And this is a good time. It could be the hormones talking, could be the environment, could be everything. But, it could be both a blessing and it could feel like a complete, whatever we call midlife crisis. There's some negative connotations to that. But, I'm a very positive person. I think that something is actually calling us maybe to reevaluate what we've been told before or reevaluate the programmings that we've had. And what a wonderful time to do that, even though you could say with all the hormonal changing, it might feel like it's coming on a whim, but I think that's part of it. It's both the hormones and it's the environment, and it's the fact that I think a lot of us are realizing there's so many wonderful opportunities for us as women, and in this one short life, we want to do a lot of things.
Can we avoid the midlife crisis? Because it seems that a lot of women blow themselves up. Is it a hormone thing, or is it just literally, are they two different things? Is my question. Is it because we're doing the hormones, or not doing them, but like because we're in so much change and we could actually stop it coming on? Or is it inevitable for everybody? And men too, by the way, because it's like as soon as you see a fast car, younger girl, and a six pack, we all know they're in it.
We all
And
know.
is that also hormones, or is it just fact? It's just that we get to a certain age and it's just that moment. But is it medical is my question. That's what I'm asking. Or is it just symptomatic?
It's honestly, like, I would say for everything, there's like a little bit of both. I've had so many women, and I don't think this is necessarily true, but I've heard them say I was diagnosed with bipolar. And I think about what that is, and it's kind of spending a lot of money or having manic thoughts. And I think to myself, this is pretty weird that women are being diagnosed with bipolar disorder at the same time as they're probably going through perimenopause to menopause. But some women,
old school doctors.
old school doctors.
Yes.
I'm with, yeah.
Yeah.
Some women, I don't think I think some women either go through this without having a complete, I changed my whole life. I think a lot of women, potentially go through this and they do fine. Some women don't have symptoms. We could talk about that because they're actually the women I worry about the most, because I worry about them when they're 70 and 80 because their bones become really brittle, their vaginas become really dry, but they didn't really have a lot of symptoms in their 50s. So they just thought this kind of didn't really phase them, but the inside of their body is still changed.
I mean, I don't think you even know about dry vaginas until, how do you even know about that? Like, I mean, there's on every chemist corner, there's a lubricant. So why would that even... That wouldn't, of all the symptoms, that would be so far down my list because life is catered for that.
Right,
that
right.
I wouldn't have thought of is my point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like more the excitement for sex I get because I think, but then I thought when I was, obviously after you've had kids and life takes over and you're running a business, like I defy you to find any woman that gets home from work and says, meet me upstairs in 5,
Right.
honey, I can't fucking wait. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's terrifying the thought of getting home, feeding the kids, putting them to bed, and then having to perform.
Yes, exactly. You have a great attitude. And the more you talk about it and the more people see, like, you can feel this way, you can have this outlook. You really just have to adopt it and put it on.
Okay,
Like,
ladies, let me make you feel better because that is something. I have the hot young husband. And that is
yes.
one thing. He'll come to bed sometimes and he'll go, sex tonight? And I'll be like, what's my answer? Absolutely fucking not. So that's not because, not because I'm not attracted to him or anything else. We just don't feel like it. And you're allowed. We're allowed. But then he can get me back in the mood later. But, I think that conversation is an interesting one. It doesn't mean that we're crazy. We've lost our minds. Life takes over too.
Exactly. The brain is the biggest sex organ. It
Well,
just is. And, and so I think that there's there's so many different experiences women have. I have in the States, there is even in the United States, there is a lot of shame or guilt or embarrassment talking about even things like vaginal dryness or painful sex or what is a normal sex life. I mean, there women don't have great places and resources to go for these questions. And that brings me back. You asked me, how can somebody find a qualified clinician? Like this is something we should talk about too,
mhm.
because the last time I checked in the States, there's something called the Menopause Society, and then there's the International Menopause
I'm sorry.
Society.
Let me just say something to you there.
Oh,
Like, I am a
yeah,
normal woman. I am not
yeah.
going to the menopause society, nor am I looking. I mean, that you already lost me.
I know.
That's what's so crazy to me. We
Right.
should be having these conversations between each other. The fact that I'd have to join a club or, there's that's for something every woman is going through actually makes me want to scream.
I know. Well, now you don't have to actually join there. They have a website where they have listed the clinicians
Ah,
who have passed their test, which, means maybe they've either taken the test and they've passed it, or like me, they've been doing this for a decade. And I also have a little directory that's called the heatherhirschdirectory.com. And all these clinicians have taken my course. And I packaged everything I learned in my fellowship training and my 10 years of experience. And that's another place that you can go. A lot of women are going to social media as well and finding the doctors there that resonate with them based on what they're saying. And I think these are all ways. The bottom line, though, it really, really, truly is we have to move the needle in the healthcare space and the education piece. And this comes really from the top down. But the more women, if you're listening to this show, the more women talk to their doctors, even if they say, I don't believe in hormone therapy, I don't, which is like, it's not Santa Claus. It's not something you believe in. It's an FDA approved treatment, right? So whether they say, yeah, I don't know how to do that, or I wasn't trained, the more you keep pushing back on your clinicians, the more they're going to say, okay, I need retraining. I'm going to go ask the powers that be, which is the medical education system. And this is worldwide. There's a system based on what the priorities are to teach young doctors. We have to demand that clinicians are trained, because as women are getting more fired up and they're galvanized, if we don't have someone who can write the scripts and take care of you in a safe manner, we're still stuck and frustrated. I
I
was
have
going
to.
to say we're still fucked, but yeah.
Well, either way. I have to say that's the one, look, everyone talks about the downsides of social media. We go so far into that. I say one of the best things to come out of social media is we're all one step away from each other. We're one step away, one click away from the information. And actually the scary part of doctors, where they sat behind this desk and you have to make your appointments, and obviously you have to make your appointments, has gone, because you
Yeah.
can reach people now. So you can put menopause into TikTok, right? TikTok
Mhm.
and these places, and then you can go and look and hear people speaking, and meet people. I actually started following this woman, and I can't tell you why. She's mid-60s. I don't even know her name on here to give it to you, or I would sue someone. It's in German, so I can't
Yes.
even understand her, but she's 62 and I like her legs and her philosophy, and she's dancing around going, I think she got divorced and whatever, because I can't understand what she's saying at all. But she looks amazing. And I'm like, I want to be like her. And, I think the doctors and things like this coming on there and making yourself more human to us. Okay. People are going, oh, TikTok. I hated TikTok. Let me just put it out there. TikTok was not for me. My husband put me onto TikTok because I thought TikTok and Snapchat were for people that wanted to flash a boob and then it blew up, or I just didn't understand, and do those stupid dances.
Right.
I just don't know. And now I'm doing those stupid dances. Don't get me wrong. But what I do think it's done is made people more approachable. So,
Mhm.
doctors are TikToking. I met one of the girls that came to, did a female health retreat.
I saw. Yes.
Thank you. And there were 2 or 3 doctors on that retreat, actually. And I said, she showed me her page, and I'm like, you've just got to relax it, because other people are getting in, because you're talking to the camera like your friend. You've got to talk like the friend, because otherwise you're just another doctor. And people are ultimately scared of doctors. They don't like doctors. No one wants to go to a doctor ever. I always need to stress that. And the trouble with doctors, no offense, again, is because you work in the health industry every single day, that it's like second nature to you. When you say all these big words and we're like going, because we don't understand what you're talking about and we don't want to feel like a dum-dum and ask you, that we
Right.
all walk out confused.
Mm.
I think this has opened it up. We want a cool doctor. Be a cool doctor. Make it make sense for me. Talk to me like I'm a toddler because I don't understand. Will
Yeah.
I or will I not get a mustache from taking testosterone? It's simply that simple.
Right. I think you're totally right. Like, you know, being genuine and being approachable is something that I have always embraced. And it's funny you mentioned this. I used to work at Harvard at the Brigham and Women's Hospital and worked in academics for many years before going and starting my own practice, the collaborative. But I mean, I was always just kind of wanted to be myself. 5'0", and just it was always so hard for me to fit that like professional doctor mold. And now I've really embraced it. Social media has really allowed me to do that because I can see women like it when I just sit down and I just talk as if I'm your friend teaching you something. And that's really also how
Yeah.
I do my
Break
visits
it
too. Like,
down.
yeah, break it down and make it make sense.
Yeah,
I
make it
know.
make sense. What can I expect? That's all I want to know. I don't need to know the long ass term for it. Hot sweats, mood swings. You've just broken it down, right? Now I can
Yeah.
understand what I'm working with. Oh, I'm experiencing those. Let me pop down to the doctor and do my hormone levels. Ladies, it's that simple. It's
Mhm.
really that simple. That's what's so
Mhm.
crazy. And we've made it so complicated. It is like the unsaid thing.
Yeah. I can't stress that enough. You're right. I mean, hormone therapy and we're talking about I think all of medicine, but really when women are going through perimenopause and menopause, please, you don't need to suffer. Hormone therapy is safe and effective, and while it can take some adjusting, it really isn't rocket science. And you want someone who can listen to you because that is key. Listening to you is the most important piece because everyone's symptoms are going to be a little different. And if they're kind of plugging and playing or giving you one formula, that might not work. But really, the message really is clear. There's no medal for suffering. And in fact, if you are a good candidate and if you trial hormone therapy, which I think all women should have the chance to do, and you see really how different you feel with it and without it, there's so many possibilities for a wonderful midlife,
Um,
just like you've been saying.
Wonderful. And I think, I was one of the first people to come out on, on reality shows saying, hands up, I did Manjaro, right? At the time, because
Mhm.
I'd lost, I'd lost the weight. And I'd done all the hormones because we were doing IVF. So, I just
Mhm.
couldn't lose it in the gym like I was doing it before. And nor did I have the time nor the inclination to do it at that time. I just wanted a quick hit. And I got all this backlash. And obviously at our age as well,
Mhm.
it gets so much harder to lose weight. Whoever tells you in your
Mhm.
40s it's the same, it's not the same. It's really not. And
Mhm.
so, I used it for a specific amount of time. If I got a pen in my fridge from time to time, yes, I have one just in case it creeps back and I've got it. That doesn't mean I'm living off it. No, I'm not. I can go months and months and months, but maybe I'll go to away now for 3 months and put on a stone and hate myself. And I think to tell you, and why I'm telling you is this, is it is not healthier to be depressed, sad, not want to go out with your friends, not want to do all of these things than it is to just take one frigging shot, feel amazing about yourself and come out okay the other side. You're not going to die from it. I mean, as long as you've checked everything with your doctor, don't quote me on that. But, my point is you'll get a better
Mhm.
life, a quality of life when you do things that make you feel fabulous.
I think the GLPs are a fantastic innovation, and there's so many parallels from GLPs to hormone therapy. Like, oh, that's just you taking the easy way out, or oh my gosh, you should just do it naturally. There's so many parallels here, and it's like, guys, a GLP is a hormone, just as estrogen, progesterone, testosterone are hormones, and using them in low doses, I could not agree more. I mean, there is quality of life, and there is thinking about instead of thinking about risk versus benefits, which I don't really like,
There's a
or,
risk to everything. Would you cross the road? Don't cross the road then. Don't get in your
exactly.
car. Don't get on a
And we think that,
plane. It's like the planes right now.
mm-hmm,
I mean,
hmm hmm
of course, don't think about the worst case scenario.
right, exactly. It's more like what is the risk of, the small risks of GLPs versus the risks of, just like you said, being socially avoidant, not wanting to wear your clothes, not going to work, not feeling good about yourself, not feeling good about your body, not wanting to have sex. There, exactly. And so I think when we put them in context, there's so many parallels, and we have great medications. And I agree with you. You know, yes, each woman should have a doctor who's knowledgeable and can help her on this, but there should be no stigma and no shame about these wonderful medications that are very helpful that we have.
There really shouldn't. And I wish, I hope women can now not be scared to discuss, sex life that deteriorates with your husband. That is incredibly, I mean, you don't have to discuss it with all your girlfriends and friends. Don't get me wrong. I mean, with each other, right?
Yeah.
These
Right.
conversations should be had. There is
Yes.
nothing wrong to speak to your girlfriends about, skipping periods, how can you losing babies, all these things that happen to us naturally that we don't have control of. You should be absolutely entitled to shout from the rooftop if you want to.
Mhm.
You should not feel shame to talk about how you've taken your health into your own hands. And,
Yeah.
I thank you for that because, as you're a young, cool, well-educated. I can see the yellow nail polish going on there. Like, I can relate to you. You're not scary. You're not stuffy. I shouldn't need to go to a menopause society website to find a good doctor near me. That is nuts still, but I will now because, I hope for all of you women that you get the help that maybe some people didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
And what is possible, because I can tell you, you can have a whole new lease of life in your 40s. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've really, really enjoyed it. And, what you're doing for women out there is, I don't even know how to sort of put it into words. It's fantastic. And, hopefully lots of women hear this and, start thinking about their midlife.
Well, thank you so much for having me on again. Having the women, whether it's in your friend group or you've got a large platform, being the one to shout it from the rooftops, even the friends that are a little hesitant to talk about it, the more you do that, it's going to help. It's going to help to make a change amongst women. So thank you so much for having me on.
How does everyone find you? If they want to see you, what do they do?
Yes. All right. Well, again, I'm Dr. Heather Hirsch. My Instagram and social media handles and TikTok handles where I don't dance is Heather Hirsch MD. You can check out my practice is jointhecollaborative.com. So that's the collaborative. We do concierge care and we really take a deep dive and listen to our patients. And I also teach clinicians, and that's at the Heather Hirsch Academy. And that's heatherhirschacademy.com. And that's all the places that you can find me.
Oh, congratulations to you. I love that. Well, thank you for being such a power bitch. Thank you everybody for listening to another episode. This has been very informative for me because I feel like I'm in the middle of all this. And then one thing I would like to say to you, all these ladies, is you should be proud to grow old. I'm like, the older I get, the better I feel. And I wish everyone that. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Heather, for everything. And, that's it. Don't forget to subscribe. Please press that button. If you want this show to grow and grow and grow, the only way is to press that button so that we can get amazing guests like Heather on. Thank you for listening to another episode of Uncut and Uncensored. That was great. Well, there you go. We winged it, but it was great.
I know. Winging it is the best always.
Always.
And I love this topic so much. I agree with you so much. I mean, this was the first time we really got to chat about like our views about it, but I was like, I am like, yes, all of these things, like, and you just have such a positive outlook on it and you're happy to talk about it and you're happy to use the innovations that we have. And some women are just so, I don't know, they're nervous, they're scared. And again,
well, and
doctors
I have to
scared the
deal with
shit
my
out of them.
husband who is scared too because he feels like it's going to kill me. And it's actually going to prolong my life.
Yes, tell him Dr. Hirsch approved. She's going to live a long, healthy life.
Live much longer because of all this.
Your brain's going to stay fresh. Your heart's going to stay fresh.
My heart and brain will be fresh. There you go. That's it. So you're not getting rid of me yet. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry about the mix-up. It happens.
It was wonderful. I can't wait to hear it. And thank you so much. And if you ever want to connect again for anything else, if you've got like any questions,
I'm sure I'll have questions.
You need a second opinion, you let me know. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.